The first thing we're going to do is build our primary button, and then we'll focus on other variants and states like loading, disabled, and so on. So let's start with a button and style it a bit. We'll have BG black, text white, text SM, rounded. Let's give it a min height of 32 pixels. Let's give it some horizontal padding, some vertical padding, font semi-bold, and let's give it a hover state of BG gray 800. There we go. Let's replace primary with slot to allow the user to pass anything they want. So here we'll have primary. And then I think we can move on to add like a left icon. To do that, we'll define the props. We'll do const props equals define props. And we'll have left icon, which will be an object. So this here will be like an icon view component we'll pass in. Let's go down and render it using the component. So we'll do component. And here we'll pass is as props.leftIcon. Let's style it a bit. We'll give it a width of 5, age of 5, and then some right margin. Let's go ahead and pass a left icon prop. So here we'll have left icon, and I'm using here icons so I can import, let's say, envelope icon from here icons, and let's use the smaller version. Grab this, paste it here, hit save, refresh, and we're missing something. Oh, I need to do solid here. Okay, there's the icon. Next up, we need to align these two, so I'll do inline flex here, and then items center, and we're good to go. Let's go ahead and add a right icon. So we'll do right, and then we'll grab this, paste it here, right icon, and have a left margin. Let's go ahead and pass it in. So right icon, and there we go. We can now have a left and a right icon. Next up, let's go ahead and add a loading state. But before we do that, we need like a good spinner SVG. And I know just the right one. I'll go to tailwindcss.com, search for loading, hit enter, inspect, and I'll just steal this SVG from here. So I'll hit copy, close this, go here, and paste it in. Let's remove the text because it will take whatever text our button will have. So if this is red 600, the SVG will also be red. And we can also remove the margins. Now let's add the loading prop that will indicate our loading state. So we'll do loading, this will be a boolean, and we'll hide all the elements inside the button except for the spinner. But what we want to do is make those elements invisible rather than just not render them at all. Because if we do something like this, for example, let's say if it's not loading, so only show the icons when our button is not loading. If we do something like this, the width of the button will change. So if we add like a span here and also add this vif, now our button will be this very small button. We want to maintain the entire width. So what we want to do is use a class. So I'll turn this into a dynamic class, paste those in, and then we'll have if props is loading, then add an invisible class. And we'll do the same for the others. So now the elements inside the button are hidden, but the button maintains its width, which is what we wanted. Let's go ahead and center the spinner. We could go to our parent and add the justify center class, But that won't be enough because remember, the other elements are still here, they are just invisible. So what we need to do is add absolute to our SVG, which will position it on top of the other elements and center it. Let's go ahead and add a div, props.loading here. And the next thing I want to do is allow the user to choose how this component is rendered. Currently, we have a button here, but someone might want to render this as an anchor tag or some other component, Nuxt link for example, or just link from Inertia.js, and so on. So let's allow the user to customize this. We'll go here and say as. This will be type of string or object for components. And then here we'll do default button. Then we'll go down here and instead of rendering the button, we'll use the component and say is props.as. And now by default, we'll have a button element. So if we inspect, we have a button here, but we can go ahead and change this to an anchor tag, add a ref, and say http://toepad.com. Refresh, and something is wrong. Oh, this shouldn't be an anchor tag. This should still be button, but we want to render it as an anchor tag. So refresh. This is now a link. Next up, let's add some button variants. I'll remove some of these props, go to our button component and add intent as a prop. This will be of type string. We'll have a validator in place to only allow certain values. And we'll have primary, secondary, danger, and text. So intent can be either of these values. Let's also set a default to secondary. And then the next thing we need to do is compute our button class. So we'll add a computed property. We'll do const button class equals computed. Here we'll return a CVA definition. Let's make sure we import computed and CVA. So I'll do import computed from view and then import CVA from class variance authority. Now the default classes, we'll grab them from here. Let's make sure we turn this into a dynamic class and set it to button class. Then we'll need to make sure we call the CVA function with intent equals props.intent. Here we'll define our variants and we'll have intent. The first one will be primary. And here we basically need to grab all our primary related classes. So I'll grab the background and the text color and then the hover state. If we refresh, everything should be in order, but it isn't. And that's because we did not pass any intent and our default intent is secondary, but we only defined a variant for the primary intent. So let's go here and say intent primary. And there we go. Let's go ahead and add the secondary variant. So I'll go here and say secondary. And we'll have secondary. We'll do BG, let's say black, but with a 5% opacity. And then on hover, we'll do BG black 10%. And let's also do text gray 700. Okay, this is our secondary button. Let's do the danger one. For danger, we'll do BG red 600, text white, and then on hover, we'll do BG red 500. Let's set the button to danger, and there we go. And finally, our text button will have no background. So we'll do text gray 700 and let's say on hover it does BG black of 5%. And this is our text variant. Let's go ahead and add more instances so we can take a look at all variants. This will be our primary, secondary, danger, and text. Okay, next up, we should add a disabled state. So let's duplicate this. And I'll add disabled. Let's make sure we receive it as a prop. So here we'll have disabled as Boolean. And then we'll add another variant called disabled. And we'll have true. We should add bg gray 100, text gray 400, and cursor not allowed. Another thing we should do is make sure these are important because we want to override whatever background was set here. Let's make sure we pass disabled and then also add it here as disabled equal to props disabled. And now we have our disabled state. Let's go ahead and add a couple more variants. I'll duplicate this and replace left icon with right icon. I'll duplicate this again and have like a simple iconless button. So we'll remove the icon. Let's add the loading state. And I think we are done. Let's remove the flex wrap a bit. Yes. These are our buttons. We have basic buttons, loading buttons, left icon, right icon, primary, secondary, danger, and text, and finally disabled. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe, click the bell button, all that good stuff. Bye!